In the last video, we had discussed linear equations in one variable. Now we're going to change the story just a little bit and talk about absolute value equations, or generally a linear equation, a linear absolute value equation. Okay, anyway, just a little refresher. What does absolute value of x equal 3 mean? Okay, well, I'll give you a minute to think about that. And pause the video as needed. Okay, well, absolute value of 3, okay, algebraically, we can say, well, algebraically, this is just going to be x is equal to either -3 or +3. Geometrically, what this is saying is that when we look at 0 and we go out to either x or the opposite of x, the distance between x and opposite of x is 3. Okay, so then that thus means that x is equal to is equal to 3, and then this whole thing, negative x, is the same as -3. Okay, so that's where the idea of absolute value comes from. Distance between x and, well, again, you could say absolute value of x and 0 is the same as 3, so then we're looking at the difference, or the distance between those. So now I'm going to change the story just a little bit and say, okay, well, what does x minus 1 is equal to 3 mean? Well, that means that the distance between x and 1, so again, I'm going to think of this geometrically. Here's 0, here's 1. And what I'm going to do is look at the difference between 1 and x, and I know that this distance is 3, and I could also say that, okay, well, if I go 3 in the other direction, right? So then this is going to be the opposite of x. So, and numerically, you might say, okay, well, this is 4, and then if I go 3 to the left of 1, that's -2, right? But now, that's how we do it geometrically. How do you get the algebra? Well, what you could do is say, well, we know x minus 1 is equal to 3, okay, and then x is equal to, so add 1 to both sides, x is equal to 4. Great, that gives me that one, okay? But now, something interesting happens for -2, right? I know that I eventually need to get down to x is equal to the opposite of 2, or -2. And so then, but now, how can I use this this idea that I have presented in the first case to help me over here? And what we're going to do is remember that the absolute value can either be positive or negative, and so we're going to say the negative part of x minus 1 could also equal 3. Okay, so I'm just saying the inside part, inside absolute values, could either be positive, right? That's what I'm saying over here, or it could be negative. And so then if I work the negative around, divide the negative over, I have x minus 1 is equal to -3, and I'm just going to put a little asterisk here. I want to come back to that. And then add 1 to both sides, you get -2. Okay, now, for me, as a mathematician, I very rarely start with this negative parentheses x minus 1 is equal to 3. Just because I've had enough practice and I just automatically go to the start equation. If you need to, great. There will be some instances, particularly in online computer algebra systems like Hawks or something, where they're going to want you to start up here at this negative format. Okay, just be aware. Okay, but anyway, so either way we get the algebra to match what we are saying geometrically. And so again, if I'm talking about the solution set, I would say the solution set for x is, and then bracket 4 and -2. Okay, and then I would be done. Okay, I would report both answers because, again, I don't know which one I am necessarily at. Okay, so then if we think about how to solve an absolute value linear equation, really what we are going to try to do first is isolate the absolute value, and I'm abbreviating here, absolute value. Okay, just because like in this instance, it is easiest for us to see that on a number line. And then second, after we isolate it, we're going to split it, or split equation into positive and negative components. And I'll say the negative, if you notice, the negative only went on one side. Okay, and just a note on this, one side only. Okay. All right, and then after that, you just go ahead and solve. Okay. Solve each equation. Okay. All right, so then I want you to pause the video, try both of these, and then resume. Okay. So now, let's see. Isolating the absolute value, so subtract 6 from both sides, and a negative absolute value 3y plus 5 is equal to minus 4. Okay, and then divide by negative, make those both positive, and then we're going to split. Okay, so we get 3y plus 5 is equal to 4, and 3y, and I'll put a negative here, negative of 3y plus 5 is equal to 4, and then move the negative over. Okay, positive and negative. Okay, subtract 5, 3y is equal to 1, and then y is equal to 1/3. Okay, and the next one, subtract 5, okay, negative 9, 3y is equal to negative 9, and then divide by 3, y is equal to negative 3. Okay, so now here, per the instructions, it just says solve, so guess what, I am done. Okay, next one. Absolute value 1 minus 2y, I'm isolating the absolute value is equal to negative 3, and then okay, I am going to split this. Okay, so I get 1 minus 2y is equal to negative 3. And then I also get negative of 1 minus 2y is equal to negative 3. Okay, change this to positive. Or change it to opposite signs. Okay, great. Let's see. Subtract 1. So negative 2y is equal to minus 4. And divide by 2, y is equal to 2. Or sorry, divide by negative 2, you get 2. Okay. And then this one, let's see. Okay, so let's see. I subtract 1, so I get negative 2y is equal to 2. Okay, that's fine. Oops. 2, and then y is equal to minus 1. Okay, now this one, I'm going to tell you this work algebraically. Yeah, it works, but this is completely wrong. Okay, and I want you to answer this quiz question as far as why is it completely wrong? Why is the work that I did incorrect? Okay, and so hopefully through the quiz you were able to pick the correct answer, and the reason is right back up here. If you look at this equation, the absolute value, what type of number do you get out? Only a positive, right? So you're saying a positive is equal to a negative. So this is impossible. Okay, so what you end up saying is that there is no solution. Okay, and if you were saying this in set, or for a solution set, we would actually say the solution, and I'm going to abbreviate, solution set for y is, and then we use like a circle with a line through it, that's called the empty set. Or equivalently, you can do a set notation with nothing in it. Okay, either one is perfectly valid. But in this case, no solution is an okay response. All right, so this introduces absolute value equations. We're going to get a lot more practice with this, so stay tuned.